Hello, everybody.
Wait.
How's it going? Good morning, good evening.
Hi.
So for now, you guys can keep your audio on if you want, or your mics on. And then in a little bit, we'll shut them off just so we can all hear clearly. But first and foremost, welcome to everyone. We have a fair amount of people. What's up, Chase? What's up, Chris? Caitlin, I see you. Tom, I see you. Who else is here? Kyle's here. Travis is here. Hello. Farron is here. Kay is here. Hello. Allison, Craig, Abby, and Eric. Hello. Sophia.
Oh my gosh.
Travis is over it. He left us. Awesome. So we have a fair amount of people joining us today, supposedly. So this is going to be an experiment like it was last time for those of you guys who were here. I'm going to start a second screen here. Just give me a second. Let's see what's going on. Hello, everybody. In the chat right now, do me a favor and just introduce yourself and say, tell us where you're checking in from. Michael, I see you. Marek, I see you too. Dallas, Massachusetts, Vancouver. I'm in Fresno, California, Slovakia. Thank you for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. All right. I see some people in the car typing. Hello. What's happening? Look at this double screen here. This is cool. Like this. All right, we have a good number of people here. So far we have 30 people, 30 of you guys here. This is crazy. Mike, I see you. Bam, I see you. Linda, I see you. What's up, Linda? Nate, hello, my friend. Good morning. Mike, is it warm out there, Mike? Last time it got really cold, I thought, but maybe there's been a time change. Marcy, I see you. Hello, Marcy. Lucas, I see you. Hello. So as you can see, this is the largest coffee club I've ever hosted. What's gonna happen? That's the question. It seems like most of us are starting to get in here and join. We're still gonna have people joining as we go. So here's the plan. I'll do some talking. And as we go, because there are a lot of us, what you guys can do is in the chat, you can start leaving comments and questions. And I will be looking at those comments as we go. And I'll do my best at trying to address those. And if there's someone who wants to chat directly with me, what we'll do is we'll just get you unmuted and we'll have a little conversation. But the chat room is where we're going to communicate with each other. And the way that we're going to treat this is just as me sharing some thoughts, which, by the way, nothing that I share is the truth. It's only my truth. And it's currently what I'm thinking about and what I believe is important in my life and what I see around myself. And one of the goals that I have with Coffee Club is to be able to connect with others and hear other people's opinions, and to be able to riff a little bit, reflect a little bit. And just from last Coffee Club, who was here last Coffee Club? Let me know in the chat if you were here. Just say here in the chat, so I know that you. Yeah, cool. We have a couple of you guys. Bam was here. Chris was here. Campbell was here. Fantastic. Yeah, let me know if you were here. Kimmy, I see you. Hello, Kimmy. Hi. This is so awesome. I am so happy right now. This is so awesome. You guys are amazing. Are you guys drinking coffee? What are you drinking? Are you drinking coffee? What kind of coffee? Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Awesome. If there's anyone who's a magician at taking screenshots with all of us with coffees up or the cups up, please do that and share that with me later. Cool. Espresso. Fantastic. Tea. Love it. What kind of tea? What does the cup say, Carl? The cup says, doing the most good. It's a Salvation Army cup. You guys see that right there? iced tea, latte, homemade, fantastic. Honey and lemon, nice, Kay. Okay, I'm gonna get this thing started. It seems like everyone is doing pretty well. Thank you for chatting here. Thank you for being here. Last night, I was lying there in bed about to fall asleep, and I was just thinking about everything, and I realized that I was not on edge, but I was feeling something. Like my friend Tom Reed, who's here, hello Tom, would say I was a little activated, and um, if I would have to put a number on that activation between 1 or 0 and 10, I was like an 8. And I started asking myself if I was feeling anxious or nervous, or if I couldn't pinpoint out what I was feeling. And I realized that I was excited, and not excited in a frantic way, but excited like a kid, the day before their birthday, or something special, or the day before summer break starts, just like anxious, excited. And it was me being anxious and excited to be here with you guys today, because this is what I have been dreaming of and thinking about for so long, which is to be able to connect with people like yourselves. I believe every single one of you who is here because you're curious, because you've connected with me in the past, because you just have a gut feeling. And that alone is what brings us together. And that's a very special thing. And I just wanted to start by honoring that and saying thank you for just taking the time to be here. This is so amazing. So thank you. I really appreciate you guys, every single one of you. And although one of my original goals with Coffee Club was to be able to talk to you in person and kind of in a physical reality, and to be able to have one-on-one dialogue in a group setting, I think we can still achieve that here in some way, because I'm looking at you guys here on the screen, and I see Michelle, and I see Michael, and I see Kimmy, and I see Julie, and I see Kyle, and I see you guys, and I feel like we're here. So this must be real, and I'm just very grateful for that. So I'm glad we're doing it, and I'm glad you're here. And today, what I wanted to talk about, and the reason I'm kind of chuckling already, is because it's almost comical for me to say it. I want to talk about economy. Okay. And my friends, I'm not an economist. In fact, one of the biggest struggles that I've had in my life is around finances, my relationship with money. But here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about economy from the following perspective. And it's from the origin of the word economy. When I went to university and college, and I studied environmental science, my favorite subject was ecology. And ecology is the study of life. It's the study of every living being that exists on this planet and the interaction amongst each other. And the word eco comes from Greek oikos, which is home or household. And in ecology, that's what we study. In economy, the suffix nami comes from the word management in Greek. So economy is the household management. And this is very relevant to what we're doing right now. I see some of you are in your car. Hi guys. You're not in your household, but most of you guys here are in your homes, in your household. We're currently in quarantine. And while we're in our household, we are starting to get to know our home in a different way. And maybe some of you guys have already moved furniture around. Maybe some of you guys have started cleaning in a different way. Maybe some of you guys have noticed that just the act of going to get groceries or walking the dog or entering and exiting the household, the rituals around that have changed. And as of late, I've really been thinking about what is economy and what is the management of our household? What is a household? Is it the home that we live in? Is it our bodies? Is it our community? Is it everything? Is it the planet? And what I've arrived at is that the common denominator and the household is our planet. It's the planet that we live on. And I've been really asking myself, how am I managing my relationship with my household, with my home that is the planet? Do I even know my home? And how is the economy, how is the management of my household, how is it done? And it's done through transactions. And in economy, we either transact services, goods, or financial assets. And if you guys just take a second right now and think about how you are currently managing your household, your relationship with the planet, how are you transacting with it? What are some ideas that come up when you think about transactions with your environment? Let me know in the chat. What are some things that come up for you? I can share some things that come up for me. Every breath I take, oxygen comes in, CO2 comes out. That's one. Every time I eat and I have waste after that, yeah, eating and expelling. There you go. Chase is talking about nutrition. Yeah, so we have these different transactions. What other transactions you have? Michelle talks about emotional health, interacting with my husband. Yeah, exactly. So if you were here last coffee club, I talked about the 6-fold upgrade that we're receiving, and I'll just kind of reiterate on that one more time. And what I mean by 6-fold upgrade that we're receiving, I'm talking about this time that we have where we have slowed down. We are, most of us, at home, and things are not as hectic, not as fast technically as they used to be. We were able to get to know ourselves a little better. We're able to start to reflect a little bit more. And during this reflection, I believe that we're receiving 6 different upgrades, or in 6 different categories, which are in the way that we think, in our bodies, and in our relationships. That's the top 3. And just like Michelle said, I have interactions, transactions with my husband. That's the relationship part. Then we're going to receive the upgrade, if we're willing, in our craft, which is in our hobbies or interests. We're going to receive an upgrade in the way that we manage our resources. I talked about toilet paper last time. And we're going to have the biggest upgrade, which is an increase in awareness, which is our ability to see more. And in this increase in awareness, what ends up happening is that we kind of fold back in to the first 5 that I shared, which is our mind, our body, our relationships, our craft, and the way that we manage our resources. And the reason I wanted to talk about economy today is because at every single one of those levels, we are transacting, we are exchanging. And the question is, am I aware of every single one of those transactions? I'm not, because most of my day, I operate on a habit automatically. There's many studies on this, but apparently we make around 37,000 decisions per day. 70% of those decisions are all automatic. We're not even aware of how we're making those decisions. They're all based on our unconscious programming. They're all habitual. And now what's happening is that because we have time, we are able to change those habits or become aware of those habits. And they happened in the mind. Every time one has a thought, there's a transaction. And this is where the transaction happens. It's in the moment that the thought leads to a feeling. You feel something with the thought that comes in or goes out. And that feeling right there is like a ledger. It's like the thing that records the transaction. And those feelings, as the transactions in our thoughts happen and the ledger gets written, those emotions, those feelings get basically installed in our body. Thus, our thoughts, the exchange transaction of thought that we're having ourselves, now starts to reflect in our body. This sometimes looks like stress, but sometimes you have really peaceful thoughts, really joyful thoughts, really fun thoughts. And those also translate. So it's not just the negative ones, it's also the positive ones. It's not just the ones that cause us harm, but it's also the ones that give us something beneficial. And it's important that we can see that in our mind, the ledger is in our feelings. That in our body, the ledger is in the biomarkers. What are biomarkers? Well, when you go and get a blood test, whatever's on that piece of paper that your doctor gives you, those are your biomarkers, and those are ledgers. But now they also go beyond the body. They go into how we interact with our environment. And our environment, yes, may be this physical thing that we're around, but for us as human beings, it's this. It's what we're seeing here. It's with other people. Every word that I am saying right now is a transaction. Whether you are answering me right now or not, this is a transaction. Some of you guys are answering in the chat. Some of you guys are transferring that into your brain. Some of you guys are feeling something. It's going into your body. You're feeling something, or you're starting to question. You may have even forgotten about what I said for the last 3 minutes because you weren't paying attention. You were already going through your ledger. You were recording, you were reviewing, reconciling everything that is you. In addition to our relationships, then we have our environment. I don't know if anyone here, I know Chase lives in a very beautiful, natural place where the landscape is amazing. So I know that Chase is interacting with his environment, his natural environment. I know my friend Nate, I think he's here. I can't see him at this moment, but Nate also, who runs a company called The Run Experience, he goes out and runs a lot in Northern California, and it's beautiful out in nature. So I know that Nate is interacting with nature, but are you interacting with nature? And if so, how are you doing it? And I want you to think about this. And this is more than thinking about, are you recycling, right? Are you maximizing your food waste? Meaning, are you able to eat as much as possible? Are you able to repurpose your food as much as possible? This transaction is the mere and pure observation of nature. Right now, I'm looking out a window, and out this window, there's a tree and there's some grass. And today's a cloudy day, so the sky is kind of gray, and you would say maybe a little boring or sad. But when you just sit and look and you observe it, all of a sudden something hits you. You see leaves moving. You see trees swaying a little bit because of the wind. You start to listen. You hear the birds, just like Mike just said right now. You start to hear the birds. The moment you hear your environment, you are creating a transaction. And that transaction right there, what will it do? Well, it develops a relationship that goes beyond our species, beyond who we are or who we think we are as human beings. It transcends into our body. It makes us feel something. And then it elicits, it evokes thinking. Thinking that is coherent. And this is the most important aspect of everything that we're trying to do during this time in thinking about economy, household management, in upgrading ourselves in these different aspects. It's a coherent thinking because what we have in our head matches what we have in our heart. And when we can do this, when we can be in a state where we're thinking, where we're feeling, where our body's in alignment, where the expression that we have to the people around us, plus with the environment, all of a sudden we enter a state of appreciation. We can see the value in what we have around us. We start to realize, oh, wow, that tree, these plants, this grass is translating into oxygen that I breathe. And thanks to that oxygen that I breathe, I'm alive. I'm here right now because of that. And that's something that we are, for the most part, on an automated lifestyle that doesn't allow us to notice it. But once you notice it, that's the game changer. And this time in our life is the time to notice. And what does that do? It changes our economy. It changes the way that we see our household, not just our home, our physical homes, our planet, the environment that we interact with, and thus changes our management, the way that we interact with those resources. I see some of you guys nodding like, yeah. I see some of you guys just like big eyes kind of thinking, what is he talking about? Right? But this is the conversation that we're currently having. And what does that ultimately translate to? Well, it translates to a greater level of awareness. And a greater level of awareness is what you could call consciousness. Consciousness means a state, a quality of being awake, of awakeness, of alertness. Do you notice? And as you notice it all, can you let go of it all at the same time? In other words, can you become just one with everything? And this, of course, is something that only enlightened beings get to experience. But we, as mere mortals who are right here, right now, are getting to experience it simply through this type of exchange. This is important. Now, so if those are all our transactions that we're experiencing, something that I've been thinking about is that the economy that most of us are part of is not one that is governed by a capitalist mindset or a communist mindset. It's something else. And it's the government of self. That's where the transactions are happening. Unfortunately, in the government of self, which is of the individual, we have overstepped the boundaries. And most of us live in an economy of the IOU. Oh, just, I'll pay you back later. This doesn't just happen with banks or credits or debt. This happens in every single transaction at every level that I talked about. In our thinking, we're like, I'll take care of that thought later. Don't think about that right now. You don't have time to think about that right now. Just focus on the work that you have to do to climb this imaginary ladder that you've created for yourself, which is total bullshit, by the way. that imaginary ladder I was going to weigh. We say, I'll pay you back later. I'll think about that later. Ooh, I'll feel that later. I'll work out later. I'll talk to my loved ones later. I'll tell them I love them when the time is right. I'll appreciate my planet when the time is right. Not right now. I'm busy. I have a meeting. I have coffee club at 11. Coffee club at 11. I have to be there. We live in the IOU. And the question is, if we live in the IOU mindset and economy, who do we owe what we owe to? In other words, who is you? Who do you think you are? That's the problem. The first problem is that we think we are something. And I want to give you an example of this. Before the new year, around October or so, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go get what one would call a regular job, a 9-to-5. Okay. So I started making some calls and talking to people. And they asked me to send them a resume. Okay. I haven't had a resume in my life. I just haven't. And I started to put together somewhat of a resume, and I started getting so upset. And I was like, why am I getting so upset? And I know that if my friend Tom is still on the call right now, he would say, you don't put Carl in the box. That's why he's getting upset. But the reason I was getting upset was because the resume was me trying to put myself in the light that would make someone appreciate me or like me or want me or see me as valuable. In other words, the resume was asking me to tell a lie, a limited version of myself. And inside of me, everything is screaming, be unlimited, be everything. Showcase the good and the bad. Be the whole thing. Because the moment you succumb to limiting yourself to one facet, one way of doing things, I believe we are limiting our ability to fully understand our relationship with the world that we live in. Now, I understand that rationally, we can play the game. We can play the game of transactions. Let me negotiate. Let me make this quote unquote fair for both of us. But it's all based on lies. And it's not us lying to the person on the other side or to the planet or to anything that we're transacting with. We're lying to ourselves, and we're not even meaning to lie. We're telling a story according to our relationship with ourselves, with our own awareness. And this is the importance of the upgrade. And this is the importance of the practice that must exist at this time. So as we sit here and we sip on our coffee, or you guys just listen to whatever craziness I may be sharing with you at the time, my hope is that as I express myself, as we are here, that something is coming up. Whether it's something that doesn't feel comfortable, whether it's something that is in disagreement with what I'm saying, whether it's something that feels nice and joyful, or like, oh, that feels closer to home, or something that feels completely confusing. It doesn't matter. The fact that it's evoking something, it's a sign, it's a bridge, it's a catalyst for exchange. The question is, are you willing to participate in that exchange? Kimmy, for example, here right now is saying, I'm dying for dialogue. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Kimmy, let's get you on. Unmute yourself. Talk to me.
I mean, Fireball just got released. No, I think this is cool. I'm curious right now where everybody else is kind of like what you just said. How are you guys feeling? What is this bringing up? I know for me, the IOU thing that came up, I was like, but what if you don't subscribe to that? And the balance between like this external validation and game, that if you want to participate in these jobs, like that's the landscape of participating in those jobs. However, there's this internal orientation and validation that you also need to have. But if it's only that, then it's like, you think of yourself as like a god, and the rest of the world's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. So it's a balance of both. I'm just curious, like, where people are at and how they're kind of like creating structure in their life right now. When you have
share that in the chat, please.
Okay.
So here's the beauty of this, is that the way that we create transactions, is what creates the ecosystem. The ecosystem being the community of beings that are currently engaging. And a lot of us have been told that there is a right way of participating or engaging or doing things. These are methods, techniques that 100%, and Kimmy knows this, you teach breath work, you teach communication, you teach fitness, whatever that may be. And you have methods, you have ways of doing things. The question is, do those methods fit all? Are those methods universal? And that's something that we need to ask ourselves. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there's a right way of doing things? If so, what way is the right way? Let me know in the comments here. We have some great comments coming through. What is Lucas saying? My life has not changed. A lot is, it's my truth. I'm reaching out to friends more, but I'm not going crazy. I make task lists for each day and weekly schedule for everything. Yeah, I think being organized is extremely important. And this is a matter of getting to know who you are as you function through this world. And what I want to do right now is, as we are about to transition into some questions and potentially creating dialogue right now, I want to put this in context. Just in the comments right now here, in the last month, has your lifestyle changed? Just say yes or no. If it's changed, say yes. If it's no, say no. Cool. I see a lot of yeses. I see a few no's. Yes, no, yes, no. Cool. So it's like 60-40, it seems like. For those who say yes, what is the major change that you've experienced? Just write one thing, one line. What is the major change that you've experienced? Human connection, no work, communication, creating new income streams, discipline has changed. Yeah, remote learning. Cool. And for those who say that their lifestyle has not changed, tell me what it is that has not changed for you. What is it that has stayed the same, that you're like, oh yeah, my lifestyle is the same? Not working every evening. That's a good thing, Mike. Balance, energy, rhythm, purpose, energy. Cool. Working from home. Yeah, Caroline, you do work from home. Lucas, you do work from home too. So do I. Yeah. So is that the only thing? It's an interesting thing that the majority of those who say that their lifestyle has not changed, they're like, oh yeah, I work from home. That's my thing. So does that mean that you are your work? Now, for those who, you know, okay, let me share this. Yesterday, I was thinking, okay, we're on day 29. I entered day 29 of sheltering in place and being in this state. What have I learned in these 29 days? What is it that has, here I am telling you, we're getting 6 upgrades and we're gonna, you know, focus on our new economy. But what have I really learned? And I was struggling to figure out what that was. But if I really start to think about it, is I'm just now learning to let go of everything, including who I think or thought I was, that everything. And in many ways just saying, all right, fuck it. Just catch me. Like that. And you can call that surrender. You can call that whatever you want to call it. But we're all to some degree holding on. Because if we were enlightened or had fully let go, I bet you wouldn't be on this call. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So in many ways, we're all just starting to let go. And some of us may never be able to fully let go. But if we can let go of one thing, what would that one thing be today? What is one thing you can do? When my friend Nate loves to ask good questions. When you say catch me, who is it? Well, who is that's catching you? Death, the end. We're on borrowed time. One question that Nate asked me, actually, I would love to get Nate here on board. Nate, can you unmute yourself? I would love to talk to you. Kimmy, thank you for sharing. Are you still unmuted? Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Kimmy. I'm going to get Nate on board here. Nate,
All
talk
right,
to me, please.
Can you hear me?
There you are, Nate. Hello.
Hello.
Who's catching you? Death. You asked me a great question over dinner when we were at your place last time, which is, would you be, I can't forget the word, but it was satisfied or okay with not achieving anything else in your life or accomplishing anything else in your life? And I said, yeah, I'm fine with it. Do you remember that question?
Yeah, I think it was, we were sort of talking about what we had done, what we were sort of excited to do, but also that was sort of tied into just like, you know, if I did or didn't do anything more else in this world and was just sort of like cruising, like, would I be okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I said yes. And I think what it is, and I even told Tanya this yesterday, I said, I don't think I'm going to die soon, but if I died tomorrow, I would be okay.
So here's a question. If you hadn't done what you did, written your book, done the seminars and all that, would your answer still be the same?
How could I know? How could I know? Yeah. Yeah, I think we're being faced with this notion of is what we're doing here really true? Is what we're doing in this life really meaningful? Is there really a purpose? And if so, what is it really? And it's this is where we're borderline walking that line of people's belief systems.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier about the resume and how you sort of struggled with it a little bit because it felt like you were trying to, it was like a lie potentially to yourself in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really have a resume either, but you know, resumes also existed before people could look on LinkedIn or social media accounts. It was like a quick snapshot of just like who you are and what you do. So if the resume is a lie, what about all the other stuff?
It's also probably a lie. It's only a truth out of the big picture. And I think once one feels unlimited, if I feel like I'm being limited in my ability to express myself or to be seen, immediately I feel like I'm not growing, that I don't have purpose, that I'm not navigating things in my most authentic self, if you want to call it that, or the most genuine way. And one thing that I wanted to allude to here is in economy is I do think our economy, the way that we transact is going to change. And one of those changes may be in, for example, cryptocurrencies. Okay, we're gonna have these digital currencies. And if you think about money as, I think it was Noah Harari actually who said it, like the biggest lie in human existence is money. It's like, it's the one story that we all agree to say, okay, this is true. If we took money away and it was a pure exchange, just this exchange, how could I best exchange with you and you exchange with me in a way that transcends time, meaning that goes beyond our lifetime, where the IOU doesn't exist? It's just pass it on, or I'll pay you back in 200 years. whatever that may be. This is where, once again, we're borderline exchange of energy, time, value, where it's, we could say, energy is not created nor destroyed, only transformed. What if transactions are the same? What if transactions are, it's not a thing that is either created all of a sudden and then disappears. It's always there, that ledger is fluid, that exchange is fluid. That maybe my time is up here, or maybe now it's time for me to just wait until things start moving again, and then I become relevant. Are we supposed to force our way through this life, or are we supposed to just go with the flow? Are we supposed to do both? Where is that happy medium? I think that's kind of one of the questions that I'm asking right now. And yeah, what comes up for you when I say this?
Are you, Carl, going back to what you're saying, like earlier, it's like, okay, I'm not, I'm okay if I don't, accomplish anything else left. Like there's a sense of the word. What do you think of the word ambition? Because right now there's something that's driving you to bring all these people together. And so how does like ambition and satisfaction fit? Because there's something driving you.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I can share with you what's coming up for me. There's always been, let me peel all the way back. When I was a kid, I was scared shitless to be around people. I just wanted to be around my mom in my little safe place, not go outside, not hear loud noises, just like keep me away. When I found gymnastics and I felt empowered by what I was capable of doing with my body, there was something about stepping onto the competition floor where I kind of transformed. And that was exciting and awesome and new, and just felt like, oh, this is crazy. This is challenging me in a way where I still feel like I'm home. That ambition, if you want to call it that, which was a need for exploration, a need for growth, a need for challenge, a need for showcasing myself to an audience, grew and turned into seminars, writing a book, YouTube, whatever it is that I did, right? And that became what one would call like my body of work. Very exciting, very cool stuff. The realization was that no matter how many milestones I hit, it was never enough. Things never felt enough. They didn't feel good enough. They didn't feel strong enough. They didn't feel like they were validating enough. So I decided, what if I go the opposite way? What if I say, screw it, I don't do any of this? What happens then? Well, what I realized is that nothing could stop the side in me that wanted that kind of exploration, that curiosity, that like pulling of a string without knowing what was coming on the other end. And the coffee club is that for me. It's being able to see all of you guys right here and have borderline strange conversation in somewhat of a structured manner. With what intention? Well, I don't know, but I do know that it feels right to me at this moment. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this feels good. And that there can be something here. And when I'm looking at some of the comments coming through the chat, it's cool because we're seeing that you and I are having a conversation in this group, and on the sides, there's another conversation, meaning we are creating, and when I say we, is all of us are creating a ripple effect that we can't see, but it feels right, thus must be right. And if it's not, I can rest assured that there are going to be natural consequences on the other side that are going to say, hey, no, don't do that. This is not what you needed. And maybe that's too late. Maybe that means that life as I know it ends. The question is, am I okay with that outcome? And can I just let go of that outcome and just trust that I'm doing exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it right now? Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think Kimmy said something interesting here. Said, it seems like balancing your identity between what you're good at, but also having the grace to accept that what isn't a competition is an exploration. Yeah. And then Jim says play. Yeah, I think play is such an important, play is actually, I think, one of the major seven emotions, play. You guys should look up after this. You should look up, what's his name? I forget his last name, but he was known as the rat tickler. Okay. And basically what he studied was the emotion of play in rats. And he realized that play was one of the fundamental emotions that we as adults had neglected, and that we needed to bring into our transaction more often. So that's something to think about. Yeah, it's hard to be, it's hard to navigate this as it can easily become a little woo-woo. What do you think, Nate?
Yes, it is very woo-woo. You know me, I always like a little bit more tangibility.
Yeah,
I guess. So I can understand it.
Can we get super weird for a second?
We're already halfway there, man. We might as well keep going.
Do you love me?
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah, and I love you too. We can't measure that, but I do love you, and I do feel loved by you. So if that we can say with confidence, without thinking it's woo-woo, then everything that we're talking about makes sense. I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's the economy of the heart. It's not the mentally one up. It's not the mentally going to war. It's not the physical, like, let's fucking fight it out and see who can win. It's not the, I'm just going to surrender and be a victim here. I'm a victim of what's happening. That's not what it is. It's actually it's choosing to be in love. Like all of us here, we're in love, which is a state of acceptance. It's a state of feeling like, okay, I can express myself. If I fail, I'm supported. It's a place where I can win and not get too high on my own supply, but still feel high. It's being able to experience all of the human experience unconditionally. And I think that is the essence of this, in my opinion. What do you guys think here in the chat? What do you guys think? Kimmy says here, someone's saying, amen, Kimmy, amen. Do you guys know what amen means? Amen means truth. That's what it means. That's where it comes from. Yeah, what did Kimmy say here? It seems like acceptance for people, this is moving fast. Acceptance for people to articulate how they perceive life. There's not right or wrong here. Yes, I think expression is important. So here's something interesting for everyone to think about, especially in our household management, which is kind of the theme of today, the economy, which is the transactions, is that male energy is very much of expression. We just say shit, we fix shit, right? But the female energy is more the one of experimentation, is what is being said here and how can we nest? How can we create foundation? The female energy is the matrix. It's the womb. It's the thing that holds, produces. And I think right now, one of the things that we're being called to do in many ways is to not try to express ourselves anymore and just experiment, tinker, explore, and see what works for us, and then share that with other people in a way where they can find value in it. And I think that moment, the moment you take expression, turn it into experimentation, and share it in a way that people can experience it or find value in it, that's the moment where integration happens. And the moment you integrate something, that's like uploading or updating your software. Yeah, that's something that I believe is true. Nate, do you have any final words, anything you would like to share before we continue moving here?
No, man, I'm glad to be here. It always takes me a moment to digest these things, so I'm just kind of drinking it in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I think all of us. How do you guys feel right now? Do you guys feel like this is overwhelming? Is this crazy? Is this super clear? Yeah, what is one word that would describe how you're experiencing this moment right now? Write that in the chat. Open-minded, yeah. Helpful, that's 2 words. This is clear to me, but I have been working with this for a while. Yeah, Farron, you got it. Joanna says interconnection, thought-provoking. LFG, chewing on it, exactly. Birds and bees, exactly. I'm totally in agreement with that. Expansive, it feels strange, yeah. Reinforcing, connecting, comforting, yeah. All of that. New, yeah, all of this is supposed to feel all these ways. And if we can simply accept that everything that is happening right now, the way that we are perceiving it and experiencing it is our own perception. It's an individualized perception. I think that gives us the ability to exercise extreme compassion and accept everyone else's point of view. The question is, can you let go of that? Yeah, you have something, Nate?
I've been exploring a new meditation app. It's Waking Up with Sam Smith,
Harris?
I think before.
Sam
Harris.
Smith?
There we go.
Sam, yeah.
But I can't. One is an artist and one is a meditation guy. But one of the things one of the exercises he's been going through is to really zero in on, it was sort of like your look at your hand exercise the other day. It's like zeroing in on different points of sensation. Like, what do you feel, like temperature, and like, what do you, like sometimes he'd have you meditate with your eyes open, like, what are you looking at? And you'd sort of ask your questions as like, where is this sensation coming from? In the sense of like, if you, like, could you point to yourself in your body? Like, are you behind your eyes or your head? If you hear something, is it from here, or is it more of like this sort of like cloud of sensation? So
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to shift it in a way of just sort of like sitting in this like kind of like cloud of awareness where all this stuff kind of comes. So it's cool. That's all I can say about it right now. I can't.
Yeah,
more intelligent. I'm just like,
I agree. It is cool. It is cool.
But that feels a little bit like what we're talking about today, where it's sort of like it's there, and if you try to like define it, it just sort of like falls through your fingers. That's sort of how I feel.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. It's kind of like when you look at it directly, it disappears. You can only see it kind of through your peripheral vision. If you think about it that way, it's kind of like as soon as you try to look at it, it disappears. I like to set the example of my dog, Callie. My dog, when you try to pet her, she leaves. But if you just sit still, she comes to you and sits right next to you, and then you can pet her. Awareness, or being able to see our thoughts, our feelings, movement, our relationships, is all about being able to just sit there, hold space or create space, and allow for things to move towards you rather than you trying to chase them. And I think that's part of this like meditation, or someone said, be careful going down the Sam Harris rabbit hole. of asking yourself the meaning of life, or that it can be a little deep and dark and confusing. But I'm not scared of going there. How about you guys? How do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about the unknown? What's your take? Let me know in the chat here. Cool. Yeah. So like the lens of a camera, zooming out, relaxing focus allows a broader view of life. Yeah, that's a beautiful example. My friends, we are getting to the hour here. We can go for another 5 or 10 minutes, but for those who have to leave, I just wanted to kind of close a little bit here and bring it back to this notion that I believe, and you guys of course can take this however you want. I believe that it's important that right now we think about ourselves as citizens of this planet, and that we are all one species, and that we're interacting with all these other animals and life, plants included, and that if we are all one on this planet, what part do we play? And to realize what part that is, and something that Nate and I had a one-on-one coffee the other day, and I talked about imagining our planet, our bodies as the economy, as the whole system. And I asked him, does the whole body get the same amount of blood supply from the heart? What do you guys think? Does the whole body get the same amount of blood supply from the heart? No way. No. Right? Nope. So when we are in a resting state, I believe it's something like approximately 30% of the blood goes to the liver. The other approximately 30% goes to the kidneys. When we are active or moving, 90% of the blood supply goes to the skeletal muscles. So no, there's not the same blood supply to the whole body. The question is, where does the blood supply go and why? Well, it goes where it has to go in order to keep us alive. If we on this planet right now are a part of a whole body, that means that every single one of us here is playing some sort of role. We're in some sort of organ and an organization. How much blood supply do we need? How much energy do we need? How much do we need coming towards us? How much can we manage? And thus, how much can we send back out? What role are we playing? Are we the pinky toe? Are we the heart? Are we the stomach? Are we the brain? What role are we playing? And if we can ask ourselves this question, I think we can put into context the way that we run our own economy, whether it's in our thinking, whether it's in our bodies, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in our resource management, or whether it's in developing our craft as business owners, as artists, or whatever it is that we may do. So I think that's something to think about. And I think it's important. Julie said, feels like we need a whole new transfusion. Yes, I agree with that. We need a transfusion. And here's the beauty, is that we create that transfusion ourselves. And here's another interesting concept just for everyone who's here. If you're in the movement space, or you study the body, if you think about the planet, we, the human beings, are part of the nervous system. We human beings and animals are the sympathetic side of the nervous system. We're the go, 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 the active, active, active. All the plants, vegetation, is the parasympathetic side of things. It's the, hey, relax, recover. And we need to find some sort of balance there. And I think right now, more than ever, we have almost like been told to go rest, to be a little bit more like plants. And to grow here, stillness, grow in place, rather than to be putting out all the time. It's time to create that transfusion, to get that influx of new information, and to be open to that. Yeah, I think that's important. Anyways, is there anyone who wants to say something, who would like to just turn their mics on and share something before we leave? If you want to write something in the chat, feel free to do that.
Anything else? I just want to say it's awesome to see so many people here, Carl, and thank you for doing this for everybody. I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. And thank you everyone for being here, joining in. One of the things that I intend to do now that I have more information on how many people are showing up and what's happening in the chat, we'll have more organization. I would love to hear more of your voices in the future. I'm just now getting to see some of your faces. Joseph, I see you. Hello. How are you? Very cool. Very cool. Katrina, hello. I see you too now. That's cool. Anyways, much love to everyone. Thank you for being here. I've recorded this session. If you're interested in the recording, I will send it to you guys and you'll be able to download it if you want. I don't know if I'll be able to get the chat downloaded after this, but at least you'll be able to listen to some of the stuff that we said. And if anything comes up in the future, I would love to address it in Coffee Club and just slowly start to create something where you guys feel like you can participate a little bit more. But hopefully this was either insightful, somewhat inspiring, and hopefully confusing because that's going to get us to think a little bit more and go inward and ask ourselves some hard questions. Anyways, thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Linda. Thank you, Joanna. Mike, thank you. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. Michelle, thank you. Yeah, and everyone else who's here. Much love to everyone. Bye-bye. We'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. Talk to you guys. Bye.